Yo, what's up out there in YouTube land? The Acolyte came out and I looked at the first two episodes. The funny thing is that the cringe didn't, I'm so used to the cringe parts that it didn't bother me nearly as much as how bad a show this is in terms of structure and all that stuff and the actual understanding of science. But I'm going to talk about that more on my podcast this weekend. So I saw that the drinker put out his own take on it, so I thought I'd check it out. All right, let's get into it. Here we go.
Another day, another chance to witness the horrific spectacle of Disney prodding and kicking the bloated corpse of Star Wars in the desperate hope that it'll let out a burst of flatulent gas which they can pretend is a sign of life. In this case, our latest desperate prod of the corpse is The Acolyte, possibly the most unanticipated and unwanted Lucasfilm project since Willow. A spin-off from the disastrous High Republic books that nobody read, starring a bunch of characters nobody cares about.
What's funny is you can actually see where like her makeup and you can actually see where the cap that they put on her head is through the makeup. That's how bad everything on this show is.
Played by actors that nobody's heard of, and helmed by a woman that nobody seems to like. Really, what can I say about The Acolyte?
See, look, you can see it's weird.
That would make you want to watch it.
This is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin.
Anyway, now that I've seen the first two episodes, I'm at least in some position to assess the show's merits.
Fire
and
in
believe me,
space.
this shouldn't take long. The first episode opens with strong female antagonist challenging strong female Jedi to a fight in a bar.
Attack me with all your strength.
And I must admit, it was nice to see Carrie-Anne Moss back in action and, never mind. You know, it's interesting that characters can survive lightsaber injuries like this, but a small throwing knife to the chest is enough to take them down and end their lives. Bullshit! Shows how much I know about human anatomy, I guess. Flash over to the other side of the galaxy and we're introduced to strong female character number 1. Strong female character number 1 is a plucky young woman with a knack for technology who's also strong with the Force. Where have I seen this before? Anyway, she works as a mechanic, mechnic.
Are you serious?
On the outer hulls of space freighters, doing the usual stuff like repairing power couplings and putting out fires? Sure, yeah, okay. I guess fire in The Acolyte doesn't need oxygen like in other shows because it no longer has the patriarchy holding it back. You go, girl fire. Things are going great for her until she gets arrested by dumb male character and strong female character number 2 for the murder of strong female Jedi. See, it turns out that strong female character number 1 and strong female antagonist are actually twin sisters, and so naturally people mix them up after the murder of strong female Jedi. And
what's crazy is they both have the same haircut that they had as children. It's like, does anybody out there still have the same haircut that they had as a kid? But somehow two twins managed to keep the same haircut that they had as children.
And what is all of this based on, you might ask? Why, the eyewitness testimony of the bartender where strong female Jedi got killed. Not DNA samples, which actually would have made more sense since they're twins. Not hologram recordings or security footage. Just a guy who saw a young woman kill strong female Jedi. Now, you probably don't need me to tell you that eyewitness testimonies can be notoriously inaccurate, especially in highly stressful situations where our brains release all kinds of chemicals and stimulants to try to keep us alive. All
right, keep in mind, she is on a spaceship that has that has history, that has been to different planets, that have logs and all that other stuff. She gets killed on a planet. Now, they gave no indication whether or not this ship was on that planet. All right, so you would figure that would be the first thing that they would look at. It's like, all right, has the ship that she is on currently ever been to this planet? No? Then how did she get here? How long has she been on that? They could have solved most of this without even showing up to arrest her. So
which often cloud our judgment and blur our memory, making us not particularly reliable when it comes to accurate recollection of people and events. I mean, given that he's an alien, I'd have to assume as well that his description of the suspect would probably have boiled down to a young black human female with her hair in braids. Now, in a galaxy composed of thousands of colonized planets, there'd have to be literally billions of people who fit that description, yet apparently this was enough to bring them straight to strong female character number 1. Like, how? Also, you might assume that being on the other side of the galaxy at the time of the murder, with multiple witnesses to prove you were there and no means of travelling to and from the site of the killing, would be a pretty strong alibi, but
See? Yeah. See? Mm-hmm.
not according to dumb male character at least. Oh yeah, and in case you were wondering what his role in the story is, it's to be consistently wrong about everything to make the various strong female characters look better by comparison. Anyway, they decide to ship strong female character number 1 back to Coruscant to answer for her crimes. Now you might think it would make sense to just take her back on their own ship, because why wouldn't you do that, right? You're there with her already, and there's 2 of you, so you could keep an eye on her and make sure that she doesn't try to escape. Because if she really is responsible for killing a Jedi, despite all the evidence pointing against it, then clearly she's smart, resourceful, and powerful.
I was looking at As versus Babyface. His take on this, and he pointed out, is that you're coming to arrest her thinking that she killed a Jedi Master. So that's like Yoda type stuff. So if she was able to do that, why would you show up with a freshly new Jedi Knight and his not so much trained Padawan to arrest a person who just killed someone on an equal power level as like Luke Skywalker or Yoda?
Don't want to take any chances with this one, lads. Or you could put her on a regular old prison transport with minimal security and just assume that everything's gonna work out fine. And wouldn't you know it, within about 2 minutes, the other convicts stage a prison break, overpower the one and only guard droid on board, and leave her alone to crash land on the planet. Which she survives because an uncontrolled crash from orbital velocity is definitely the sort of thing you can walk away from. Anyway, back on Coruscant, we're introduced to Squid Game Guy, who receives word from strong female character number 3 that strong female character number 1's ship has crashed. They know this because they picked up the escaped prisoners from the escape pod, but they haven't gotten around to investigating the crash site yet, and are thinking about sending out probe droids to take a quick look.
Okay. That's the one thing about Star Wars that don't really understand. It's like, I don't think any of these people know how big like galaxies and star systems are. So 2, like, yeah, I know that they have a tracker on this stuff. For one, you got to know it takes time for you to know that the ship has not shown up to where it's supposed to be, right? Maybe it sends out a distress. It takes time for the distress to make itself back to like the area, like to your whatever your headquarters is. I don't know. So all this stuff takes time. So they launch themselves in a life pod with no idea of how they're gonna get away. So that's dumb. And it's the thing about this, of what I saw in this show, was beyond the cringe stuff. It was just very poorly written, because it seems like they're going for a crime, like a crime drama kind of thing. And this person not only does not understand how to write a science fiction show, she has no idea how to write a crime drama show. So you got 2 bad takes all jammed into one show. So it's like, okay, so they just caught them somehow.
Okay, back up a second because I really want to go over this one. If you recovered these prisoners from the escape pod and brought them all the way back to Coruscant, that must mean that you already had at least one Republic ship in orbit around the planet to recover the escape pod in the first place. So you're telling me that instead of investigating the crash site for survivors, which would have been on the planet directly below, you instead brought the prisoners all the way back to Republic headquarters and then asked for instructions? So, like, are you retarded or what? Also, if strong female character number 3 looks familiar to you, you might recognize her as showrunner Leslie Headland's wife. I'm sure that had absolutely nothing to do with her casting in this show, just like James Gunn doesn't let family connections influence his casting choices either. Anyway, Squid Game guy decides that he wants to take a look at the site for himself, because strong female character number 1 was his Padawan once upon a time. So he rounds up dumb male character and strong female character number 2 and heads off to the crash site to investigate, and almost immediately runs into her after ripping off a scene from The Fugitive. Then he explains that strong female antagonist is definitely dead because he saw her die in a fire when she was a kid. So
Keep in mind, they're on they're on a planet that is snowing. So they're in a higher area of a planet that is snow every place. None of them are dressed for cold weather. I lived in Minnesota for a while. Even it's usually around 30 degrees for it to snow. That's plenty cold. And you're wearing Jedi robes and ears uncovered and all this other stuff. And she got on some ship gear and they're running around in very cold temperatures. Hell, she survived a fall from space, so I guess she can survive some cold.
So strong female character number 1 is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime. But then strong female character number 1 is like, I didn't do it, trust me bro. And he's like, well, I'm convinced. Fuck me, you're easy to win over, aren't you? It's good to see that a Jedi Knight won't listen to evidence, logic or reason, but a single unverified claim by a woman with absolutely no reason to be truthful is enough to totally change his perspective. Like, I'm very much in the camp that rational evidence would be enough to exonerate her in this case, but if you're not even willing to listen to that and are still convinced that her twin sister died because you apparently saw it happen, then what other conclusion can you draw here? You know, here's a crazy idea. How about you do that forced mind reading thing that you did earlier with one of the escaped prisoners? That would clear up everything pretty quickly. Either she would open her mind to you and you'd be able to tell if she was innocent or guilty, or if she tried to block you, it would be a pretty strong indication that she was trying to cover up her own guilt. But nah, one quick conversation's enough to change his mind, I guess.
The craziest thing about that is during the fight, the twin, the May, told I guess Trinity from the Matrix that if you like a Jedi only pulls his weapon like if they're going to fight, like kill somebody. But they seem to have no problem forcing themselves into people's minds to get them to tell them the truth, which happens repeatedly through both episodes. So pulling your lightsaber out and killing somebody, that's too much. But entering into somebody else's brain without their permission to get the information that you need, that's fine.
Meanwhile, strong female antagonist goes for a walk on a beach and meets up with Discount Venom, who delivers what may be one of the most nonsensical monologues in the entire show.
Steel or laser are no threat to them.
She literally did kill a Jedi with a fucking blade less than 30 minutes ago. Like, do these people even read their own scripts? Do they even think about what they're writing? Then he ignites a red lightsaber.
They had fire in space, so no.
For no other reason than because they want you to know that he's a Sith, and that's it. That's episode 1 over. What a completely retarded mess this show is. It's built around literally the simplest by-the-numbers murder mystery plot, complete with twin sister femme fatale tropes and everything, and somehow still finds a way to fuck it up. And it's all held together by insane coincidences, ridiculous contrivances, and decisions that run contrary to logic and common sense. Andor showed us how a murder investigation can be conducted in a smart, gripping, tension-building way, with a combination of deductive logic, interesting character moments, and explosive bursts of gritty action. You get the feeling they were trying real hard to emulate that tone and feel in this show. The only things they're missing are brains, creativity, imagination, and writing skill. And that's not the only problems at play here either. The acting is terrible, the fight choreography is weak, nobody looks like they actually want to be here, and the pacing is god-awful. The episode could probably have been wrapped up in under 20 minutes without all the pointless time-wasting travel backwards and forwards and redundant conversations telling us stuff we just saw happen. We're only 1 episode in so far, and I can already see how they're having to stretch the paper-thin plot to try to spin it out into 8 episodes. This show might aspire to be something like Andor, but it's more like Book of Boba Fett. And believe me, it only gets worse with episode 2, but I'm gonna have to cover that in a separate video because I don't think my mind or my liver can handle too much of this stuff all at once. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah, like I said before, the cringe stuff is you're kind of used to that, and it's like whatever. It's just the very bad writing. So I don't know. I will put a link to the drinkers video so you can watch it out without my interruptions. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they take on episode 2 is, because episode wait, yeah, it's like it's worse than this one is, but they're both written very poorly. All right, so please like, share, and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And I am out. Peace.